Hi, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I am Cindy. It is February the 4th, and I want to take a look today at what happened in Iowa and almost sort of like what the rest of the week is going to look like. You've got the State of the Union tonight. I personally am going to be binging on Netflix. I just not going to watch it. Of course, it's also not my union. Right. Um, you've got senators up giving these 10-minute speeches about why they did or did not vote the way they did. So yeah, that's not really interesting because, really who wants to listen to hours and hours of people twisting themselves into pretzels to justify their behavior? Tomorrow you're going to have the vote, which is going to result in an acquittal. And so I just want to take a look at kind of this week. What's going to happen this week energetically around the politics of Washington and what the heck happened in Iowa. Okay? So that's what I'm looking at. I got a message, a comment in my comment section after yesterday's video, and it was somebody, they said, I wish I just had a magic wand and we could make this. And my reply was, but you are the magic wands, every one of you. You are the ones that have the power. You are the ones who are empowered to make the change. And in some ways, you know what, that's incredibly exciting because God knows when the power got surrendered and left to the supposed adults in Washington, they've turned this thing into a three-ring circus. So I want to encourage everyone to embrace their power, right? You're the ones that have it. And that's an awesome thing because it feels very much like, in some ways, certainly for the last 3 years, it feels very much as if Americans have been powerless. Okay, there was that spark of brilliance during the 2018 midterms, and there will be another spark of brilliance in 2020. So, embrace that. Just embrace it. It's a wonderful thing. Right? Better to be the magic wand than to have no power. And that's frankly true in any situation. You are the change, right? You are. That's just the reality of how it works. Okay, so I got questions. I think maybe we're going to just take a quick look at Iowa first. And then we'll go on to what is going on politically in Washington this week. Okay, come on down. All right, so give it one more quick shuffle. Okay, so I'm sure most of you know there was some newfangled app that was supposed to do the trick in Iowa. The app wasn't working, and apparently one of the reasons that it didn't get a great response from the people who had to use it was because one of the first things it said was using this app could damage your device. Well, okay, so let's all just surrender our devices. I mean, it was ridiculous what went on there. And as of right now, it is 10:15 Mountain Standard Time, to the best of my knowledge. They do not have any results. We do not know how or who did what last night, although I did find it entertaining that almost all of them claimed victory. So, gotta love the politician's ego. Here we go. Iowa, what happened? Tell me about Iowa, tell me about Iowa, tell me about Iowa. I gotta move my cup of tea out of the way. And I know that there are going to be theories out there about the system being hacked, about, the Russians being behind this, the Republicans. So I just want to take a look. I'm not sure what kind of energy I'm going to get on this read, but let's just start here. Okay, so first of all, there seemed to be enough went wrong that the people of Iowa, or not the people of Iowa, but the people involved, the organizations involved in handling the votes for the caucus, are going to be a wee little bit defensive in the next little while, frankly, and so they should be, right? I mean, this did not go well. This was an absolute disaster. And you have, definitely things were not clear cut. There was stuff going on behind the scenes that sort of nobody knew about. I almost want to say in some ways as if there were some glitches that they kind of thought might be there, but they didn't, honestly, they didn't take them seriously enough. They didn't, really, really follow through and make sure that this was going to work. I almost want to say it was as if they didn't do some sort of a dry run. They didn't really go through this thing step by step and actually figure out how this potentially could work. Hang on. I really am losing my voice. Maybe I should start wearing more blue. Okay, so there's definitely going to be some stuff found out. I think that there is, because the communications absolutely faltered, right? The communications just reared back. Now, I don't know anything about astrology, as you know, but I do know enough to know that Mercury is in Pisces right now. And when Mercury goes retrograde in just a little while, that's also going to be in Pisces. So definitely, it looks like communications, anything having to do with that could really, really get mixed up and confused, and things not being said right or received right. So, I mean, I think that that's part of it, right? Is that just energetically, this thing almost was, the potential for something like this happening was there. And then whatever went on behind the scenes created simply more of a problem. Oh my. Okay. So let's go here. There was a lot of talk yesterday about the Iowa caucus. In some ways, not that it's not relevant anymore, but that it's not representative anymore of the country. And, statistically, what I do know, I kind of don't disagree. I mean, Iowa is apparently 93% white. So how does that state connect to South Carolina? So you can kind of see where this may be almost like a tradition that needs to be reevaluated. As I was watching the results not come in last night, I couldn't help but thinking about the message that was sent over the weekend. And I think I touched on it in yesterday's video about the fact that in some ways the political system is so broken that it really does almost need to be brought to its knees and revamped. And again, those kinds of measures cannot happen in fell swoops, because then it becomes a revolt or rebellion, as opposed to a systematic, organized change in one direction or the other. But I definitely think that not only do the people of Iowa, those people that were involved in that, have some explaining to do, but I also think that in some way it almost brought to the fore the fact that there were things that really needed to be changed, right? It wasn't working maybe the way it worked when it was created. All right. So there's that. Now, I am not kind of a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. But it's very curious to me that we have the Trump card, the Lovers, and the Devil all popping up here. So I would not be surprised if information comes out somewhere down the road, and I'm not actually sure that it's Trump that's behind this as much as I might think that the RNC might somehow be involved. Do I think it was a systems glitch? Absolutely. Do I think that there's a possibility that somebody might have helped the system glitch? I'm not going to rule it out as impossible at this point, because literally what you have is, forces working against the common good and forces working towards the common good with the Republicans in the middle. So you can absolutely see where there's going to be that clash of light, dark, energy. So that's kind of curious to me. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if over the next little while there is speculation about that kind of thing. Some information may come out about it. I'm not saying that it was the cause. I'm just saying that it's going to be one of those side factors. And if ultimately it turns out that everything was on the up and up and this truly was just an electrical glitch, two things. One, you got to really consider doing everything by electronics. I mean, thank goodness the people in Iowa have paper backup, because you can't trust electronics. And for goodness sakes, we're going into Mercury retrograde. You really can't trust them. And there's going to be a lot of kind of voting like kind of stuff going on in the next bit. So that's a concern, okay? But even if they're sort of cleared, it's an indicator of how torn the country is, one, and how really frightened people are of the Russian influence, too. Because as soon as you're talking about anything electronic, there's the automatic assumption that somehow Russia has their finger on it. And you know what? In some ways, that's even more dangerous, because then they are being given the power. And we know about what happens when you hand over your power to somebody, especially when you hand it over because you're scared. It empowers them in a way that is just insane. So there's definitely some lessons to be learned from what happened yesterday. Don't give up, okay? Don't give up. Hope is not lost. The system is ultimately going to work, but it's definitely going to need some improvement. There's definitely going to be some growth that needs to happen, some reevaluation that needs to happen, because really, right now, that system, and I'm not just talking about Iowa. I don't know what all of the different ways are that you guys vote in your different states as this thing moves along, but definitely, there really does need to be some reevaluation going on in terms of the systems and how they're done. Because all I know for sure is it really wasn't very impressive what happened yesterday. All right, let's zip down and take a look at Washington this week. And see what is going on there. There's one more shuffle. Okay. Washington this week. Washington politics this week. Washington politics this week. All right, now you did see how I put those cards back in. But here he shows up again. So, okay, so of course this week is really frankly all about Trump, right? It's about the State of the Union tonight. It is about that acquittal that's going to happen tomorrow. And you can bet he's going to be screaming from the rooftops tonight. Because, really, why on earth would he actually want to wait for an official vote? It's in the bag. So why wouldn't he brag about it? Don't be surprised for any of you who actually have the stomach to watch this thing tonight. And there really is. I mean, right now, there really, really is a sense that the truth and the law have been killed. Like literally, they have been struck a fatal blow because of this fella and the people that surround him. Now, I can absolutely understand why that is a valid feeling. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to say that it's even an inaccurate one. But what you are being asked is to try to keep the hope alive, keep the faith alive, be the magic wand. And the balance will be returned. The balance will be returned because you are going to be taking back your power. There is a lot of juggling going on. Oh my God. You know what? You are going to hear some of the most amazing statements made this week. If not by Trump himself, then certainly by these Republicans who are trying to justify their position. It is ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, so that's definitely going on. You've got, again, two sides trying to tell their story. And I want to say that, that's what it is. You've got two sides telling stories. There's a lot of evaluating going on, especially in the Democratic Party. It very much looks as if they are sort of trying to figure out what their next move is, because they're not going to kind of let this just lay down and die. And for those of you whose dogs are barking, because mine were, apologize. So there's definitely you know what, I want to say this, the Democrats have more up their sleeves. This is the thing. They didn't go in to this impeachment really, really believing that it was going to end up in his removal. The numbers were not there. And these are savvy politicians. This is not their first rodeo. And they had great clarity, I think, on how this was going to end up unfolding. But you know what? The House has not been sitting by with their feet up on a chair and eating their popcorn. They've been busy behind the scenes. And so it's going to be interesting to see sort of what comes out with them, what other things. I would not be surprised if you didn't see them starting to pull in witnesses. And it's not going to be under an impeachment hearing, because that's sort of done, but it's definitely going to be under an oversight kind of umbrella. So that's going to be very interesting, literally to see what they pull out of the bag, what tricks they can pull out of the bag. And alternatively, we're going to be watching the dirty tricks of the Republicans. But trust me, there is more infighting going on in there than we think. I think that senators are starting to recognize that, they have really angered a lot of people. Talking 75% of the country wanted to see those witnesses, and they didn't let that happen. And so there's definitely some worry, a lot more worry than you would think, or than they like to project or pretend. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. It literally feels as if the Republicans stole the will of the people. I think that's the easiest way to say it is as if the Republicans just said, you are not important because you are not a senator. So good little people, just trust that we're doing the right thing for you. Exactly like if Donald Trump cheats to win an election, but he thinks that's the greater good for the country, well, that's just fine. And their attitude is not very much different. It's like, we'll handle the heavy loads, guys. You just sit back and go be your little suburban selves. Appalling. And that attitude is going to create such an incredible backlash for them. And they're going to continue to experience that. I really want to say, honestly, for the next 4, 6, 8 months, this is not going to lay, okay? There is going to be continual, and they're really hoping, I mean, the Republicans are really, really hoping that they can distract, right? Because come on, you have people living in cages, and the public has sort of shifted their attention away from it. You have a president who has lied 16,000 times, and people are like, yeah. So the Republicans understand that these days, the public, and it is the public around the world, okay, really they've developed a very short attention span. And so they're really, really hoping that people will forget, okay? This is where they've made their miscalculation. Nobody likes to be betrayed. And that is what they did. And so because of that, the resentment and the frustration are going to continue to build. People are not going to let go of this. So that's sort of an interesting element to this, that I think that in some ways the Republicans really, really had hoped they would be able to sort of like cause a big wave now, but gloss over it, make it go away, make it dissipate. And we're going to keep screaming that the economy is in great shape. The economy is not in great shape, people. It's not. But we're going to keep saying that. And, by November, maybe we can, muddy the water so much that people actually forget, oh, yeah, we were acting like emperors and kings and, ignoring the will of the people and denying them justice. So, but yeah, you know what? They're not going to forget that. Well, you know what? I got news for you. Or they're going to forget it. They're not going to forget about it. They are not going to forget about it. This behavior. What is going? And it's not only with this in this farce of a trial that went on, even the State of a Union, there's going to be some stuff or some attitudes almost that come out that are really, really going to push people back. So this is interesting. Okay. So just the other thing that, and I guess this sort of connects to the whole "you are the wand" statement. In some ways, the whole 3-year period that you guys have survived has been so exhausting. It has been mind-numbing. It has been fear-provoking. And it has made millions upon millions upon millions of people feel trapped and feel that they don't have the power that they believe, rightly, they're supposed to have. So attitudes are going to continue to shift and change, all right? And that ultimately becomes the strength that creates the justice, all right? But this is the thing. One of the things that I found really interesting yesterday when they were talking about the Iowa thing, they were saying that they were really, really expecting a surge of people that were, that were going to be involved in this. And they were anticipating that it would exceed the 2008 numbers, which was, Barack Obama's time. But in fact, the numbers were on track, they said yesterday, to just be right around the area of 2016. So that tells you that sort of momentum is sort of a little bit rocky, and part of it is because people are just exhausted. But the reality is that you have to do the work, and then you get the rewards, okay? So what they're saying is, don't give up hope. All is not lost, not by a long shot. You've got the sun. You've got the Four of Wands, you've got the Star, you have the Magician, and that's like a really good card sometimes. you have strength, you have justice, and somewhere in here you have the Empress, and I can't find her. So you've got like good energy surrounding you, but I get, you know what, it's not free, right? And part of the work that needs to be done and will continue to be done is this whole keeping thoughts very, very positive, focused, moving this forward from a place that is not of fear and a place that is not of anger, simply a place where justice and hope and transparency must prevail. And so it will. So it will. I just got the funniest, picture in my head just now. For any of you who have watched, oh my God, don't let me blank, Miss Congeniality, the movie about the FBI agent who is joining a beauty pageant because they're trying to find the person who's threatening to bomb the pageant. And they bring in for this FBI agent who's played by Sandra Bullock, this sort of person who is training her and teaching her and showing her how to walk and talk and whatever, right? And just before the pageant started, he was like going behind her saying, "Be the crown, be the crown," right? And I was saying, "Be the wand." I literally was seeing this guy saying, "Be the crown." And that's literally what it's about, right? Hold your power. Stay focused, stay strong, expect the best, and continue to join together with like-minded people and continue to move this forward in a place from a place of light and not fear. Okay, so until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.